Welcome back to episode number 3 of the Lucas and Lucas podcast. It is refurbished from our college days. Mike Lucas joined by the extra skinny looking Lucas Frankel. I can only imagine, Frank.
Extra skinny. Why do you say that?
Well, you look so slim because you've been on the treadmill during 2 Jets games in a row. And I know as they fall further and further behind their opponent, you turn the speed up a little bit on your treadmill. So I'm assuming that's why you look so slender. Frank, well, let's just get right into it. The Jets are the worst team in football. Adam Gase is an abomination. And you are not a fan anymore. Is that correct? Or the rumors
I'm done. I'm done. This team is not worth my time. They are a complete waste of time and energy. The 49ers game for me was the last straw. All right. Especially the first 2 games of the season, just completely blown out in the first half. They didn't have any chance to win either game. It was over by the middle of the second quarter. Actually, this 49ers game was over after one play. They ran one play and scored and the game was over, and I knew it was over. It was just a complete waste of time. I was watching the game on the Fox Sports Go app because I was on the treadmill, like you said. And I was watching the Giant game because the only channel I get on my cardio machine is CBS. And I saw the thing light up, San Francisco 7, Jets nothing. I was like, come on, like they just kicked the ball off. There's no way that's real. And then first play, they handed off to Mostert, 80 yards, touchdown. And it was just like, you just couldn't make this stuff up. And then they fall behind, and it's like, all right, let's see what we got here. Let Sam do his thing. And what do? They run the ball like 24 times with Frank freaking Gore up the middle. It's like they thought they had a 4-touchdown lead and were just milking the clock. It was one of the most incomprehensible things I've ever seen. It's almost like they thought that, all right, let's punt this game. We don't care. If you don't care about the game, just tell me and I can shut it off and I can move on with my life. Don't play this game with me where you tease me and act like you actually care when in reality you don't. Because if you actually wanted to win that game, you wouldn't run the ball up the freaking middle every single time. It was one of the most agonizing things I have ever watched. All right.
No, it's frustrating. They're bad.
There's no Crowder. There's no Perriman. There's no Mims. There's no Le'Veon Bell. The starting center is out. The right tackle is out. They're just completely helpless. Adam Gase, has he ever smiled? He is like the least charismatic coach that I've ever seen in the history of sports. He inspires no aura of positivity. I've never
or confidence. Not only now positivity, you can't feel confident with Adam Gase as your head coach because he's proven time after time again his teams suck. This dude keeps getting a head coaching gig because Peyton Manning called him a quote-unquote offensive genius, when Adam Gase has been a horrible head coach for the entirety of his NFL tenure. And Frank, he even pulled the craziest move of all on Sunday. The new turf took out like 7 different 49ers. I have to imagine that was intentional.
Wait. You think you're
no,
joking, right?
That's a joke, yes.
Okay.
But even with the 49ers B team, because their A team all tore their ACL.
Their F team.
They have to play again there against the Giants this week. They were just inept on offense. Do you remember 3rd and 31? They handed up the middle, Frank. How'd that go?
The Jets did?
No, the 49ers did. It was 3rd and 31. They handed
up. They probably converted, right?
They got 55 yards on a HB dive up the middle on 3rd and 31.
Okay, it was one of the most disgraceful performances I've ever seen. And the reality of the situation is, there's no quarterback on the face of the earth that can save this franchise. People that are just like, oh, we'll get Trevor Lawrence. All right, first of all, Trevor Lawrence isn't saving this franchise. Second of all, the Jets are going to screw this up because you know what's going to happen. They're going to start out like 1-9, 0-10, and then they'll win 4 of their last 6 games and get moved from the first pick to like the 5th or 7th pick and screw that up. And you saw with Sam Darnold. If Sam Darnold was with another team, there is no doubt in my mind he would be a legitimate Pro Bowl contender. But with the Jets, I mean, he's helpless. He's completely helpless. But I do have a question for you.
Shoot.
Let's say the Jets do get the first overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Joe Douglas, do you take Trevor or do you trade the pick?
I take Trevor because a new quarterback, a franchise quarterback, buys you at least 3 years on the job. So for no other reason.
For selfish reasons.
Absolutely for selfish reasons.
If your actual intent was to win, what would you do?
To win, right? How quick's my timeline? If I'm worried about getting fired, then I take Lawrence. It buys you time. If you're
trying to build a legitimate NFL team, what are you doing?
It depends on if you like Darnold. If you think Darnold could be a Pro Bowl quarterback, then you trade the pick or take Penei Sewell, the left tackle from Oregon, who's as high as a rated left tackle as we've seen come into the draft in a while. If you're building a team, I don't think you could be the GM that passes on Lawrence unless you really believe Sam Darnold is that guy. When we've seen Josh Rosen bounce around, the Cardinals took him 10th overall, took Kyler 1st overall the next year. If they think Lawrence is a better future prospect than Darnold, you take Lawrence. I think it's pretty simple.
I mean, to me, it doesn't matter because anyone that comes in here, look who you're working with. Look who you're throwing to. It's a completely helpless situation until the Jets get a new owner, because I truly believe this is a top-down thing. This starts at the top. Christopher Johnson, when he goes out there and says, yeah, I believe in the talent on this team. I believe in the coach. It's like it's an insult to my intelligence. I mean, are you blind? Do you see what's going on in front of you? Is this acceptable behavior? That they're so lucky fans aren't allowed in the stadium this year, because it would be the same as it is now. There wouldn't be a soul in the site. There wouldn't be a soul there. And it's better. And honestly, they're lucky. They're so lucky, because if I were there, I would be throwing garbage on the field. I'd be throwing tomatoes at Gase. It would just be a complete crap show.
Well, you remember Gase at his inaugural press conference to the taco?
Yeah, no, that was the big. I knew right at that point with the eyes, it was over.
Before it ever started, it was over. In New York, that's never going to fly. I don't know how I feel about Darnold yet, Frankel. I liked him coming out of college. I haven't seen anything, but I think it's impossible to really judge him based on the fact that he's had no offensive line and no weapons to ever throw to, and no competent offensive play caller or offensive-minded coach, despite the fact Adam Gase is an offensive guru. So I don't know how good Sam Darnold can be, but I do know this current collection of coaches and players in the Jets are never going to find out. I mean, they have absolutely gridlocked him, and not.
Wait, you just called Adam Gase an offensive guru? Well, why do you say that?
I said a so-called. He's not. He's horrible. Greeny had a stat on Get Up the other day. Before this San Francisco game, he's had 33 touchdowns and like 106 drives as the Jets head coach. That's horrible. It's a 30% touchdown. I mean, that's abysmal. That's not an offensive genius, despite what Peyton Manning said.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole Peyton thing made his career. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Exactly. He's only gotten these head coaching jobs because Peyton called him an offensive genius. His resume does not say NFL head coach. Again, he got that one shot, he bombed it, and you move on. So,
yeah, future's not looking great for the Jets. As for the other team in town, we're also very lucky that fans aren't allowed at MetLife Stadium for the Giants. Saquon tears his ACL. Daniel Jones isn't exactly letting. I mean, I guess you could make the case they probably could have beaten the Bears, and they were in the game with the Steelers. What's your read on the Giants? Or how concerned are you about the long-term viability here of Saquon and the chances that he may never be the same after that ACL tear?
I mean, Saquon's a freak of nature, and I kind of have to look at Adrian Peterson when he tore his ACL and came back stronger than ever. I just think he's one of those physical freaks that can rebound from a significant injury like that. But the thing that scares me about the Giants is his back-to-back weeks with absolutely no semblance of a running game. And it is impossible to evaluate and develop a young quarterback if he's under constant duress in the pocket. We've seen it with Sam Darnold, and throwing to guys who are subpar receivers. The Giants have weapons. They just can't stay healthy. He played, I think, 7 snaps I saw is the total snaps of his career. He's played with all his offensive weapons on the field at the same time. It is impossible to judge a guy off that. I actually liked what I saw from him against Pittsburgh in week 1. Chicago, I didn't get to see the full game because I was traveling, but from what I saw, he had a couple bad picks, but played semi-decent down the stretch. And with the Giants, it just hurts me that the 2 worst teams in football are both in New York. More than anything else, I didn't expect the Giants to be great this year. I said 7-9, 6-10 in that range, which I still think is obviously achievable with 14 games to play. But Frankel, New York's the capital of the world. It is the sports mecca of the United States.
No, it's not.
How are the 2 worst football teams in the National Football League both in New York? If the Giants and Jets played tomorrow, I think I'd rather jump off a building than actually watch that football game unfold.
It's sad. I mean, this isn't like it's new for the Giants. The Jets have been doing this for my entire life, aside from a couple of years in 2009, 2010, and 1998. They've been, the bottom of the barrel team for as long as I can remember. The Giants, this never happens. As long as the Mariners have owned the team, it's been, constant.
They've won the fewest games in the NFL over the last 5 years.
So if they get all right, I do have two questions for you here. Let's say the Giants get the number 1 overall pick, which isn't out of the realm of possibility.
No.
What do you want them to do?
Take Lawrence, and I wouldn't think twice.
Really? Okay.
I think Jones has enough trade value that if you were to trade him, you may not get the exact return on the number 1 overall pick you would get, but you would get significant return a second-round pick, a late first. Some team would buy that. Oh, breaking news, the Pac-12 to start football in November, 7-game slate. That is breaking on the show, according to Heather Dinich of ESPN. But no, I would take Lawrence. I didn't like the Daniel Jones pick. I hope he never finds my Twitter feed from that night. I was very against it.
Wait, you were on here 2 weeks ago saying that you're a believer, you were excited about it.
No. I'm saying he converted me to a believer in his rookie season. And I liked everything I read about him. I'm saying at the time, I didn't love him. I think Lawrence has a chance to be a special quarterback, and I wouldn't overthink it. If you have the chance to take him at number 1, I think you take him and then trade Jones. But yeah, I still have hope that Daniel Jones can develop. I just think it's impossible to really nurture the development of a quarterback when everything around him is crumbling like a cookie right out the oven. I mean, the offensive line still is abysmal. They have no running game, and his receivers can't stay healthy. At least in week 1, I thought they did a decent job scheming to get guys open, and Jones missed a couple of them, but he was pretty accurate on that 19-play drive. He mounted a couple of long drives against a good defense. But overall, until we see an offensive line that can give him a little bit of time in the pocket, Frank, same with Darnold, we're looking at an incomplete project, and I can't grade either of them yet.
Who are you more surprised of that their career has not panned out? Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold?
Rosen, just based on the circumstances of what his career has been. I mean, Darnold went to the Jets, and as you say, if you go to the Jets, your career is over from day one. You don't have a career. Like that's career suicide getting drafted by the New York Jets. Even though Malachi Becton looks really good, Frank. You guys got a really good offensive tackle.
Great. I'm
so out of Louisville. But no, I'm more surprised by Rosen, the fact that he's has never really gotten a chance to play. Darnold, I think, still could be good. Rosen, I have absolutely no idea if this dude could play or not.
I was listening to Cowherd, and Darnold, he still makes these plays that are just like that blow you away. Like the one touchdown, the one good play he made was
unbelievable, incredible.
I mean, literally like circling around the pocket off his back foot. I mean, it was an incredible play. But I almost wish they would just unleash him. Like, stop, take off the kid gloves, let him sling it around. I don't care who's throwing. He could be bring me and you out there. Let him sling it around. Let's screw it. What do you have to lose?
Nothing. I'm actually with you. I mean, outside of the fact that dialing up deep ball after deep ball is going to get him killed in the pocket because the offensive line sucks. I don't know why you're not. At this point, I don't know why you're not. And Adam Gase, real quick, just to add on, he's going to get fired at the end of the year.
You think at the end of the year?
If he makes it to the end of the year.
Right.
But why not open up any trick play or new offensive theory, tactic you could come up with and just start going for it on every 4th down, fake punting on every punt. I mean, you might as well go out crazy because you're not getting another head coaching job.
Last point on the Jets before we move on. What idiotic human being would want to coach this franchise? Who would be stupid enough to take this job that is essentially a death sentence on your coaching career?
Hey, I don't know. I mean, Eric Bieniemy is the only guy I could think of who I would hire tomorrow to replace.
That is the garbage argument. That is crap because he works with freaking Mahomes. Get out of here. That is such crap. I could work be Mahomes' quarterback coach, and he would be great.
He's going to get a head coaching job somewhere. So
that's the only reason why McAdoo got a head coaching job was because of Rodgers. How did that turn out? The whole attaching to a great quarterback thing is the most bogus argument in sports, period, and it's not close. You mean
Adam Gase?
It's not contagious. It's not how it works.
Well, that's how Adam Gase got a big time coach.
And how did it work out? It didn't. Learn your lesson.
I still think he deserves a head coaching gig.
Who does? Bieniemy?
Bieniemy, yeah.
Maybe he does, but you can't have this thought that, oh wow, look at the work he did with Patrick Mahomes. He's just going to touch any other quarterback, and that power, that magic talent, is just going to transfer over. That is ludicrous.
I didn't say that, but he can't call a game worse than Adam Gase does.
I mean, literally anyone's better than Adam Gase. But
so what's wrong with saying Bieniemy should get a shot?
Nothing. But you say that because he's had so much success with Mahomes.
You say that because he was interviewed for three jobs this previous offseason, didn't get it. He's next in line. He's going to get an opportunity, Frank.
I'm not arguing that, but my last point on this, just because you coach Mahomes, this is the whole Brady-Belichick tree.
I know.
None of those guys have had success. None.
I know.
Not one of them. Because it doesn't translate. You work with Tom Brady, you're great. You work with anybody else, you're trash. That's how it works.
Speaking of Bill Belichick, Frank, Slam Newton, as John Gruden calls him, has looked fantastic in his first 2 games in New England. He's definitely healthy, fully rejuvenated, and on the revenge tour. This is your worst nightmare, right, Frankel? Seeing the Patriots succeed without Tom Brady. It's literally your 2 worst nightmares combining into one.
I mean, I don't think. I mean, I don't really view the Patriots as like a legitimate Super Bowl contender, but I am astounded at how great Cam has looked so far. I mean, through 2 games, he's completing a career high. All right, I'll ask you tee you up on this. What is this? What do you think his completion percentage is?
73.5.
All right, 71.4. That's a career high. He that compared to his MVP year in 2015 through 2 games, he was at 52.9 in 2015. He's at 71.4% this year. He's 276 pass yards per game. He has 5 touchdowns. I mean, he went step for step with freaking Russell Wilson on his home field. I mean, he looks every bit of the guy that led the Carolina to the Super Bowl 5 years ago, and quite frankly, I'm stunned.
I'm not stunned because he's finally healthy, and we haven't seen a healthy Cam in 2.5 seasons. When he was healthy, this dude has been an absolute freak of nature physically on the field. And back to your point a second ago about coaching, I think you got to give Belichick and Josh McDaniels a ton of credit for how they're utilizing Cam and enhancing his natural abilities as a runner and making his ability to run these unique, funky play actions for easy completions. That's scheme and that's coaching. And you say, yeah, you can't just tie yourself to a good offensive coach, but I mean, McDaniels is doing a pretty darn good job scheming up ways to get Cam, to get receivers open for Cam, not just short, but he was chunking the ball against Seattle. He would have 400 something yards that game. A couple deep balls late that went to Edelman. I mean, he looks really, really, really good. And when you see a list of guys who signed for more guaranteed money than him this offseason, the Patriots look like they had the offseason steal of maybe the 21st century.
They also got like Darrell Reeves for a bargain. But this is what the Patriots, they do this all the time. They bring up guys off the scrap heap for nothing. It's the most unfair thing in the NFL. The Patriots, whether Revis, they just consistently get these bargain chips, and it always strikes gold for Belichick. It's unbelievable.
He has a couple misses, but yeah, more often than not, it turns out well.
What do you think? How would you handle? I mean, obviously, you think Patriots invest in him long term? Is this a 1-year deal? How do you see this playing out?
It's a 1-year deal.
You think you think they move on? You think they go to Stidham next year?
No, but I guess it depends on how they finish the season. But if they have a chance to get, they're not going to have a chance to get Lawrence, but maybe Justin Fields or Trey Lance or one of the other top prospects if they finish with a top 10 pick, which I would be surprised at. I don't think they invest fully in Cam. That's why they're running him so much, in my opinion. They know it's a 1-year trial period. Let's literally wring him dry for it.
Cash in somewhere else next year. That makes sense. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And pretty much get as much as you can out of him this year, maximize his value, and then either sign and trade or let him go and move on.
This is such a case of Cam, having that one incredible year and then never being the same again. He will never be this good again after this year. This is the last great Cam Newton year. However long this lasts, this is it.
Yeah, I mean, with his physical ability, he'll play and he'll have a chance to play, but the combination of what he can do as a runner with Belichick and McDaniels scheming up some of the stuff that he's done in the air, it's really a perfect combination and really a way for Cam to rejuvenate his career, because the last 2.5 years, I mean, I'm more surprised he's this good already than I would have been if he never played football again.
How many games do you think New England wins this year?
Still say 8 or 9.
Over under was 9.5 before the season. I did have.
I take the under. The under.
Interesting. Okay. This week, I mean, the slate of games is just absurd. I mean, you got Breeze and Rodgers, Dak and Russ, and obviously
you mean Chad Pennington 2.0 and Aaron Rodgers.
I'm on a new shift, so I was not really able to watch much of Drew Brees. So I haven't seen a ton of him. I'm not concerned though. It's 2 games, and they still have.
We'll talk next week. Let's keep it moving.
All right. So Lamar Mahomes, I mean, that is just as monumental of a regular season game as you can get. Monday Night Football, it's going to shatter records. I mean, it's going to be like that Goff Mahomes game from a couple of years ago in LA. It was like 54-53, the final score. It was absurd. Whatever the over is in this game, hammer the over. It's going to be freaking absurd. It's the 7th time in NFL history that quarterbacks who won the regular season MVP and the Super Bowl MVP in the same season will start against each other the following season. You saw I tweeted out the stats. Super Bowl MVPs are 6-0 in those matchups. The Chiefs are 3.5 point dogs, which is shocking Because Mahomes will go stride for stride with anybody in the league. He does not lose by multiple scores ever.
Yeah. And you can't ever count them out because they could be down 21 with 3 minutes to go. And if any team could score quick, it's Mahomes. But I'm actually going to pick the Ravens in this regular season matchup. If this is a playoff game, give me Mahomes. But in the regular season, I'm riding with Baltimore. Lamar Jackson is just unbelievable. He looks even faster.
But here's what's going to happen, though. Mahomes is going to get to a 10-point lead, and Lamar can't play from behind. It's been the theme of his career. He cannot play from behind. He's never been able to do it, and I don't see that ever changing.
Well, I think they get out to an early lead, and then it's Mahomes making a comeback. But
if they don't score first, it's over.
We will see. I just think with their running game and ability to keep Mahomes on the sideline for as long as they can, I still don't love Kansas City's defense, especially early in the season. I think they'll be fine as the season progresses, but as we've seen, it's tough to play defense early in a season, even when you have preseason games in a regular training camp. With this COVID-19 offseason, the overs are hitting outstanding success. If you want to make money, just keep betting the overs. So I think this game is high scoring, but I think Baltimore ends up pulling it off, and more because I think they have more to prove, and they're going to take this game a little more seriously. Frank, one thing to consider, though, with this new playoff format system, when only one team gets home field advantage and one team gets that first round bye, this game could be a tiebreaker. So I think we're going to see both teams come out and play with a little more intensity than we may have seen.
You're saying that Baltimore has more at stake.
I do think they have more at stake because I think they need that first round bye more. I think Kansas City could walk into any stadium as a road team and feel confident they're going to win. I don't know if Baltimore could walk into Kansas City in an AFC championship
I think you're operating
game.
under the assumption like they're like I think if there were fans in Seattle last week, Cam does not perform the way he does. The fans thing is a whole different dynamic. You can't view home field advantage is not what it is or what it was. It's different.
It's still a comfort factor, and come January, we might have more fans in the stands. I mean, we're seeing some teams slowly open up more and allow more people in. So to say there's not going to be anyone in the stadium in January could very well turn out to be true, but we also might have 25% capacity, might have 20,000 fans in the stands.
There are already fans in Kansas City, but the whole home field advantage thing, I think, you crumble it up and throw it out the window.
Then even more, you get a first round bye, and that is crucial.
So which is exactly why Kansas City knows what's at stake here, and they're going to come out and they're going to win.
I'll put $1 on it, Frank. Give me Baltimore. I'll put $1 on it.
I already bet on it on my book, so
there you go. Hey,
a plus 165 on the money line. It's absurd.
The Chiefs are
plus
165. I'm gonna take a look at that. Hey, NFL MVP right now. Who is it?
I mean, right now it's Russell Wilson, but I think for the season, I think it's either going to be Russ or it's going to be Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, I mean, I'm such a sucker for Kyler Murray. He's incredible. He's going to
have your Kyler-gasm real quick. I'll give you 30 seconds to go.
He's about to become the first player in NFL history with 4,000 passing yards, 1,000 rushing yards in the same season. He's going to shatter records. He's on pace for, get this, 4,128 passing yards, over 1,200 rushing yards, and just an astonishing 24 rushing touchdowns, which is like unheard of. I mean,
he'd be the best rushing season ever. I don't think any running backs ever had 24 in a season.
I got to check to see how many LT had in 06, but what he's doing is something that's never been seen before. I mean, he just wreaks havoc on the field, and he is so elusive. He's got an incredible arm. Him and Hopkins, it looks like they were, born out of the womb together. I am such a huge fan of Kyler. The Russ thing, I mean, Russ did this last year. Russ was great in the first half and then sort of slowed down at the end and ended up losing steam on that MVP chase because Lamar was just so amazing. I think Kyler has a really, really good chance of being the Lamar of this year, which is why I think that when people look at those stats at the end and they see Arizona, at the very least, they're going to make the playoffs. They're assuming he stays healthy, they're a playoff team.
Have you seen their schedule too? Their next 3 games are absolute cakewalks.
Yeah, I mean, I have not seen their schedule, but I think they're going to win 10 or 11 games, and I expect Kyler to – it's going to be between Kyler and Russ. It's going to be one of those two, and we'll see how it plays out.
All the stats you just threw out there are cool, but the one stat in my mind that really stands out is Russell Wilson has 8 touchdowns in the air this year and 7 incompletions.
You know what his completion percentage is? It's
got to be 90-something.
82.5%.
Yeah, unbelievable. That's the stat to me that just puts it over the top. Today, if it ended today, Russ Wilson's the MVP.
Oh yeah, right now it's Russell Wilson. He's obviously the betting favorite.
The only person who can stop Russell Wilson from winning MVP is Pete Carroll and his decisions to run the ball, which we've seen Seattle's at its best when Russ is cooking. Let Russ cook. And if they do that, he hasn't won a regular season MVP yet. There's not going to be that narrative drive to, hey, let's give it to the new guy. Russ is the new guy in this case. I put my money on Russ, even though the betting odds aren't great.
Last NFL thing, who wins, Green Bay or New Orleans?
Oh, Green Bay smokes him.
Oh, wow, okay.
I have zero faith in Drew Brees.
Green Bay is plus money as well. Road game. I think the books are still adjusting to the home field advantage because they see the home team and they're like, oh, favor them. But it's interesting. One of the more fascinating things to look into. All right, let's move on to the National Basketball Association. Miami Heat just dominating the bubble. I didn't see this coming. I mean, every night it's a different guy, whether it's Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo. I mean, they got such a complete team. They don't have that one true, when the game is on the line, when push comes to shove, I guess they go to Jimmy Butler. But I mean, they're just loaded. They could beat you in so many different ways. I think they might win the whole thing.
Yeah, I know from people inside the Miami organization that they are not overlooking Boston. They still have to win one more, but they would want nothing more.
It's over.
They want nothing more than to play LeBron in the finals and get a little revenge for LeBron leaving and jumping back.
What about payback? He got them a freaking championship. They should build a statue.
I'm just saying LeBron and Spo don't have the best relationship. That's out there. That's not breaking news by any means. And Spo wants nothing more than to beat LeBron in the NBA Finals. I'm going to say it like that. The other thing about Miami, Frank, and this is maybe the most impressive part, Jimmy Butler would be the worst best player to ever win a title if Miami was to win a title. And you can make the argument.
I would have to go. I mean, you talk about the 04 Pistons, Rip and Chauncey.
They're up there, but I think I take them over Jimmy. And you can make the argument that Jimmy's not even their best player. Whether it's Bam, last night it was Tyler Hero, who they ran their entire offense through late in the game, a 20-year-old rookie with an NBA playoff record, 37 points. He was cooking. 0 free throw attempts, by the way. 0.
I was just thinking, I heard someone say, Calipari, look at him, like he's got Anthony Davis, Jamal, and now Tyler Hero. The Calipari player tree is dominating the bubble.
Absolutely. I mean, he's that. If you want to be a successful NBA player, Calipari's the guy to go to. The track record.
Is it Calipari or is it just how much credit do you give Calipari for that?
I mean, Duke recruits at an elite level too, and a lot of their guys don't pan out. A lot more of their guys don't pan out.
Is it Calipari's eye for talent? Is that the difference?
I think Duke and Kentucky recruit a little bit differently. Kentucky goes for more of the one-on-one guys. Duke's kind of adopted that policy, but just, I mean, a lot of the guys.
Who are you kidding? They're both one and done. That's all.
But it's a different kind of one and done though.
I thought Zion was always made for Kentucky. I was shocked when he went to Duke. I thought he was made for Kentucky.
I was too. I said one-on-one, not one and done, by the way.
Oh.
But just, I mean, Booker wasn't what he was in college. Now he is in the NBA.
I forgot about him. That's another one.
Karl Anthony Towns wasn't the same player he is now as he was in college. Anthony Davis had no offensive game. I mean, he has some misses.
In Kentucky?
Anthony Davis had no offensive game at Kentucky.
What are you talking about?
All he did was dunk the ball.
He willed them to a national title.
Because of his defense.
Put that team on his back.
Franco, go watch any game from that season. Anthony Davis had 0 offensive game. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was a miss. I mean, not all his guys pan out, but
right. But I mean, Calipari is. I mean, he's got his list is exponentially longer than any other guy.
Can I give you a stat on that? His current players have over $3 billion in current NBA contracts. Just think about it like that. $3 billion.
Pretty amazing. All right. Major League Baseball is winding up. Yankees still looks like they're going to open up on the road. And then they won't be at home. They have one more home series here against the Marlins starting this weekend to wrap up the season. They're going to be on the road likely to start the playoffs. They're 21-7 at home. And coming into Wednesday, they're 11-17 on the road. The fact that they aren't going to be able to play at Yankee Stadium to me is just a nail in the coffin on them. I'd be shocked if they made it far and won the World Series. I'd be absolutely floored because they're such a different team home and road. And I know every team's going to be playing quote unquote on the road here, but
yeah, well,
to me, this is the death sentence for the Yankees.
I mean, you gotta trust Garrett Cole in the playoffs. Outside of that, I don't really have any faith.
Yeah, the rotation is just not.
We're wait and see. Yeah,
it's so hit or miss. I mean, Cole, you trust to get you a W, but beyond that, Tanaka's been so up and down. You got Davey Garcia. Do you really trust J-Hat? I mean, J-Hat is going to start game 3 at this rate. I mean,
that's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
I don't trust him to watch my dog. And then,
all right, Frank, let's wrap up a little college football. Give me your 4 playoff teams. I don't know if the Pac-12 is allowed to be in the college football.
It's so weird. It's so weird, right? Like, is the Big Ten going to be in this? Like,
Big Ten will be included. The Pac-12 starting in November. I don't know if they'll have enough games to be included in the field. So let's count them out, even though they are saying they're going to play now. But
Clemson's a lock. I mean, there would have to be like in a freaking pandemic for them not to make the Final Four. They're a lock. I think Alabama makes it. I think who's in the top 5? Who's in the top 4 right now? Let me see.
Ohio State.
With Fields, yeah, assuming that they play a legitimate season, I think they'll get in 3, and then 4 could be a combination. I wouldn't be shocked if who's Oklahoma's quarterback?
Spencer Rattler, very good.
Oklahoma seems to always win that conference. I do like Kyle Trask, Bo Nix. I'm a huge fan of. So one of those guys, but the top 3 I think are pretty solidified: Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma.
Ohio State's absolutely in that top group. Ohio State is absolutely in that top group.
Yeah, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma. Those 3.
So where's Alabama? You said
those are the 4.
Okay, there you go. Okay, you were saying Oklahoma. I think in your head you meant Ohio State, but yeah, I'm excited. We have Vanderbilt coming to Kyle Field on Saturday.
We meaning Texas A&M because we don't know. He doesn't make that very clear.
Well, I'm just saying, KA's got approved, so I will be on the sidelines. One of two photogs on the sidelines for that game, so you can't miss me, Frank, if you're watching. And I'm excited. My job gets a lot more exciting when we have college football in College Station. So,
all right, that's gonna do it for this 3rd episode of the Lucas and Lucas podcast. College football is back. Mike's very excited. I could name like 4 players in college football. See how it goes. See you next week, everybody. Let's go Jets.